So I was originally going to say what I'm going to talk about today for another video that's coming out pretty soon, but this situation I feel like deserves its own video. And I'm of course talking about my experiences of trying to watch the Avatar re-release. Now I've only recently got the chance to watch James Cameron's Avatar, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a fine movie, but of course I watched it at home on a smaller TV, and I was like, even though it was good, I couldn't help but feel like I was missing something. I'm a huge fan of watching movies in a theater, so when I heard that this movie was coming back to theaters, I was like, okay, this is it. This is my chance to like actually go out, watch it how James Cameron intended in 3D, 4K, HDR. These are just buzzwords. They don't mean anything. What's important is that the movie was coming back to theaters. This was my chance to, see it on the big screen with like loud speakers and stuff. And we go down to the theater, it's playing in 3D. Just to get this out of the way, I'm not the biggest fan of 3D in the first place. I think it's a gimmick. I don't think a lot of movies utilize it very well. But to my surprise, or I guess I shouldn't be surprised, it's James Cameron after all, but the movie looked pretty good in 3D. It added like this other depth of realism, and it wasn't like obnoxious and in your face, but rather it's subtle, which I enjoyed. It made everything feel much more like real life, like, if that makes any sense. And so I was having a really good time watching it in a theater. I was just in pure bliss, just hearing the soundtrack just blasting through the speakers, seeing these amazing visuals in this, awesome theater. I was having the time of my life for about 2 hours. And then things started going wrong. Let me just say that I watched this in a Dolby Cinema. And if you don't know what that means, stick around on my channel because I'm talking about that a little bit later. But we're gonna talk about 3D and how it relates to Dolby Cinema. Or more specifically, how it doesn't relate to Dolby Cinema, because this particular theater doesn't play 3D movies. It only plays movies in 3D if they were shot with 3D cameras. So, this theater has not played a 3D movie in years. It is not built to show 3D movies. And also, James Cameron messed with the movie so much. He added, he changed the frame rate. He made the colors more vibrant. He added he upscaled everything to 4K. Of course, something was gonna go wrong. About 2 hours into the movie, I'm not gonna spoil, anything in case you haven't seen it. If you haven't watched Avatar, go out, watch it in the theater. Despite what I'm saying here today, go watch it in the theater, please. We're watching the movie, right? And all of a sudden, the left eye just goes dark. And the movie is it keeps going on the right eye. And I'm like, what's going on? I've never seen this happen before. I've, been to a number of 3D movies in my life, and I've never seen, anything do this before. And then all of a sudden, the movie comes back on the left eye, but it's a scene behind. It is a still frame from a scene that has already played, and it flashed up, and it immediately went away. And I was like, oh no, that something has gone very, very wrong here. And then periodically, for about, I want to say 5-10 minutes so, the movie in my right eye, it keeps going, while every so often, it would come back on the left and then immediately go away. So it'd be like, it's like a strobe effect. It's just boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, oh my God, this is bad. Someone needs to say something or do something back there to get this fixed, or just start playing the movie in 2D at this point. And then all of a sudden, projector just shuts off, but the audio is still playing. And I have footage of that, I'll put that in.
Lies in preemptive attack. We will fight terror with terror.
So we're just sitting in complete darkness, listening to a podcast version of the movie. And then the movie comes back on in the weirdest possible way. What happens is the frame that was in our left eye is now on the screen over the scene which the audio is playing from. So, I'm gonna do my best to replicate what that looks like in this video, using, footage from this video in particular. So what you're seeing now is what what I saw in the theater on the biggest screen possible, just pure bliss, you know what I mean? This is how James Cameron intended you to watch this, you know? It was really weird for him to, you know, edit this part in, but you know, it added a new layer to the experience, I guess. And then all of a sudden, it just goes black again. But this time, the audio isn't playing. We're just sitting in darkness and silence. And at this point, I'm just waiting for the theater lights to kick back on and just, you know, telling us to get the fuck out. But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, this is the worst possible thing they could have done, I think. This is the worst part of the night. So the frame that was in our left eye this entire time is now flashing on the screen, on and off. It is the only thing we're seeing. The scene in the right eye, or the scene that we were seeing in the right eye before, is nowhere to be seen. The audio is not playing. Instead, we just have flashing lights on the screen. I don't know how to describe this, but like, if any of you guys have seen like that banned Pokemon episode where Pikachu like blows up Porygon or something and then like a bunch of lights just flash on the screen, I'm gonna play a small clip of that here, but slowed down so I don't kill anyone. That is what we were seeing, but sped up pretty much. And then after that, that lasted for about a minute or so. Screen goes black again. Movie comes back on in 2D, and I just had this huge sigh of relief. I was like, thank God we're done with that. I don't mind watching the rest of this in 2D. Just, you know, just get me out of here. I just I just want to watch the rest of this movie, and I'll come back later if I want to watch it in 3D, right? And luckily, I did not walk away from this empty-handed, because I got something I'd never seen before, but I've only heard about in stories on Reddit from people having bad experiences at the movies. A guest readmit pass. But this is a guest readmit pass. Means I can go see any movie I want for free. This means nothing to me because I have AMC A-list, but it was at least cool to get some kind of compensation. It says it expires on June 30th of 2022, but I talked to the manager and he says they extended the deadline, so just ignore that and I can use it whenever. So if I want to see 4 movies a week, I can now. So I'm like, okay, I missed out on watching Avatar in 3D the whole way through, right? And we even got to see like a small sneak peek of Avatar 2 at the end credits of this re-release, and it looked phenomenal. It looked really goddamn good. And I'm like, this probably looks insane in 3D again, because, you know, if the first 2 hours of the first movie look really, really good in 3D, and also, you know, the upgraded like contrast and colors and 4K, whatever James Cameron did to this, I can imagine that, you know, the little teaser we got at the end of this one would look good in 3D, and, you know, everything else. And I'm impatient. I could just wait until Avatar 2 comes out and watch it, you know, give the Dolby Cinema another chance. But I'm not gonna do that, especially not when I have, you know, the option to see it again and have the option to, you know, see the little teaser at the end of Avatar in 3D, right? Why not try again to watch the whole thing start to finish without interruption in 3D, 4K, HDR, high frame rate, whatever the hell. And this time I was like, okay, Dolby Cinema didn't work out. I actually checked the other day, voice cracked. I actually checked the other day, and all of the upcoming showtimes they had listed for the Dolby 3D were canceled. So I am the last person in this state, really, to be able to see Avatar, at least part of it, in Dolby 3D. So that's cool to know, I guess. I'd rather not have been the last person, but you know, whatever. I'm last of something, I guess. But anyway, like, okay. Dolby didn't work out. Let's try IMAX. You know, I've seen so many movies in IMAX and IMAX 3D, and I've never had a bad experience. It's always been really good. The 3D has been, you know, okay at worst, not bad. So I'm like, okay, we'll get a bigger screen, a worse sound system and probably worse visuals, but you know, at least I'll know the 3D will work, and I know that I will have at least a good experience. You know, maybe not as good of an experience as I had the other time, but I'll have a good experience because, you know, IMAX has quality control, right? They're a big company. They haven't let me down so far. I've seen so many movies in this format. This theater was just showing Doctor Strange 2 and Thor Love and Thunder in IMAX 3D. They know how to run it. It's not like Dolby Cinema where they had to like relearn all of this new stuff. It was just, okay, we're just gonna do this again. We're doing this again. It's just IMAX 3D again. What could go wrong? We didn't make it 5 minutes. For those of you guys who don't know, who have never been to an IMAX movie before, there is a IMAX special countdown that it does. I love this countdown. I think it's really fun and goofy. And it's usually when you watch a movie in IMAX 3D, it's presented in 3D and everything like pops out at you and stuff. It's really neat. I don't understand. Unlike with the Dolby thing, I don't really understand how this could have gone wrong. What happened is there was a little message saying like, please put on your 3D glasses now or something. And then screen went black and then a red overlay came up. And I was like, that's weird. And then the IMAX countdown started playing over it. And I was like, huh, that's weird. And it just keeps going. So I put on my glasses and I'm presented with the strangest image I have ever seen in my life. I will do my best once again to replicate what I saw. And even then, I don't think I can get it. And then eventually the red sort of like morphs into this weird green. And then the image of what's supposed to be overlaid on top of the other one. Okay, here's how 3D works. Here's how I think 3D works. Because I think this is important to how this could have gone wrong. So basically 3D is like you take two images that look nearly identical, but there's you know some slight differences in between them, and you kind of like overlay them on top of each other, but not completely. And then you just, you know, you put on the glasses and it morphs the two images together, and then you get that 3D effect. You need to make sure these images are just slightly off. What I was looking at was, okay, here is where I am, right? This is me. I'm gonna present this in normal 2D, okay? Here is what it's supposed to look like in 3D. I'm gonna, you know, overlay it, give us a little, you know, some difference in between the two. And here's what I saw. Yeah, I don't even understand what went wrong. I can understand like the difference in images. Like I can understand like, hey, these images aren't lined up correctly. I don't know where the red and the green came from. If anyone who's an expert on 3D, you know, projection or 3D cameras can like let me know what's going on, I'd love to know. That'd be awesome. But essentially the countdown plays in this really weird way, and I'm like, okay, maybe that was just the IMAX countdown, you know? Maybe they just got that wrong, but the movie is gonna play just fine. 20th Century Fox logo comes up. And next thing we know, the theater lights come on, screen goes dark, manager comes running in. Literally, he comes running in. He's out of breath. I felt really bad for him. But he comes running in. He's like, hey man, we cannot get we're trying our best to fix the projector, but we cannot, you know, continue this showing. So come on out for refunds. And yeah. And then some guy in the theater was like, can you play the movie in 2D? And he just goes, no. Okay. So we all just kind of do our little depression walks out of the theater. And it's just, we just make our way over to the guest services counter, get our guest passes. And yeah, I am now the proud owner of 2 guest passes and 2 failed screenings of James Cameron's Avatar. I feel like that's a world record for something. I don't know what, but at this point, I feel like I should just attend as many of these screenings as I can, especially since I have A-list. I can just watch movies for free. I should just try and, you know, try as many times as I can and see how many of these guest passes I can get and then like sell them, because I feel like I could make a lot of money doing this, you know? It says no cash value on here, but how are they gonna know? Well, I guess this video. But how are they gonna have any proof besides this video? But yeah, if I still want to see this movie from start to finish without interruption in 3D at some point. I know it's not gonna play at Dolby Cinema anymore after this week. They're giving that to Smile, which, all right, I guess. So I guess IMAX is my only other option. If it's still playing in IMAX next week, I'll give it a shot. Hopefully it plays well. If not, I'm gonna be really, really bummed. But, you know, 2 strikes already. Might as well go for the 3rd one. That's not the saying. I don't think there's any saying about 3 strikes you're out. Is there anything else besides that? I don't know. We're gonna find out though, and I'll be sure to let you guys know if I get the chance to see the movie properly for once. You know. Anyway. Oh wait. My second trip wasn't completely in vain. All right. I almost forgot about this. How could I? But I got a little poster. But yeah, okay. So you know, not the biggest L I've taken. I'll gladly take a poster, a free poster, for a fun memory of getting gimped for a second time in 2 days. Either I should stop going to AMC, or I don't know. I don't know. I've never had any other problems with the 3D movie. I saw Jaws in 3D. That was okay. It ran fine. I don't know what the problem is here, but yeah. My message here is don't watch 3D movies unless they're Avatar, and even then, be cautious that the movie won't play. So yeah, watch 3D movies with caution, but for the most part, stick with 2D. That's it.